Hi, Stefan Svartling here from Svartling Network. It's Monday again. This is actually the first day vlog I record with my new iPhone 6. It's actually the first video at all I record with the iPhone 6. And I do that with a front-facing camera. And it's a bit dark outside here in Sweden now, in October. So it will probably be quite much noise in this recording. I did my first mini review and first reactions, opinions and thoughts about iPhone 6 yesterday. You can check out that video on my YouTube channel. It's actually around 7 minutes, so I had quite much to talk about. It's a bit cold outside today. If you are an Apple user on Google+, you often hear in the comments on your post that Android is so much more advanced than iOS. And yes, Android is more advanced in a way, because you can, for example, customize and theme a lot more than you can on iOS. And it's more open, and you can use it more like a file system and so on. You can connect it to a computer and get to your files and all that. So it's a lot more advanced in a way. But what makes iOS more advanced than Android for me personally is the apps. The really advanced and professional apps makes iOS limitless for me. All the professional video editing apps and music creation apps that is available for iOS. These apps doesn't exist on Android. The apps for video editing and music creation on Android is more amateur developed, one-man companies and so on. These large, big music creation companies and video editing developers, they don't develop for Android. That's a fact. So these kinds of apps makes iOS limitless for me. That's why I can replace my computer with my iPad Air, for example. I can do all this advanced stuff that I want to do on a computer. I can now do that on my iPad Air and also on my iPhone. And the apps is also the main reason why I choose iOS and iPhone and iPad over Android. I've been an Android user, but it was the lack of professional apps that made me switch back to iOS. So to me personally, the apps on iOS makes iOS limitless and more advanced than Android is for me. So it looks like my predictions about the coming iPad Air 2 was right. It will apparently have a faster CPU called A8X. Some leaked images has shown that. If you zoom in on this motherboard, you can see A8X on that image. And here is the motherboard. And it also looks, as I had said earlier, that it will come in gold, exactly as the iPhone. In space gray, silver and gold. Here you can see a Touch ID button with a gold ring, exactly as the gold version of the iPhone has. So it will come with Touch ID and come in gold. So that's pretty nifty. I will definitely buy it in gold so it matches my new iPhone 6. Some more images of the leaked iPad Air 2. And these images also shows that it looks like the iPad Air 2 will not have a mute switch anymore, as I said earlier in another video. And that's a bit strange. I don't see why. The website says that it's because it's so thin, so you can't have a mute switch, but you can have a mute switch on a thin iPhone 6, so why not on an iPad Air 2? It will not be thinner than the iPhone 6, I'm sure of that. It will be very exciting to see what Apple will present on the event this Thursday. I just got a question from one of my followers on one of my YouTube videos on YouTube that says, if you buy the new iPad, what gigabyte will you get? And will you be disappointed if the RAM is not upgraded? And my answer to that question is that I will probably buy the 128 gigabyte iPad Air 2. Maybe only the 64GB version depending on the price. And the reason for me to buy the iPad Air 2 with so much storage as possible is because it has replaced computers for me. The iPad has replaced computers, so I need so much storage for my video editing, for example. I store my videos and take snippets from them to use in other videos and so on. And video takes a lot of storage. And other question about if I will be disappointed if Apple doesn't upgrade the iPad Air 2 to have 2GB of RAM instead of just 1. My answer to that question is yes, I will be disappointed if Apple doesn't upgrade to 2GB of RAM. Because I need more RAM when I use all these advanced apps and doing advanced stuff like video editing, music creation and so on. I've seen so many times that apps reloads when you switch between them and so on. Tabs in Safari reloads when you switch to them and so on, thanks to too little RAM. So the iPad needs more RAM. So yes, I will be disappointed, but I will still buy it. I really like when you ask me questions in comments on Google+, YouTube, Twitter, because I want to give you answers through these kinds of videos. So please continue to ask me questions on YouTube, Google+, and Twitter. Another thing that I've thought about a lot is that Android users always care so much about specs and always says that the iPhone has a lot worse specs than their Android phones and tablets and so on. But who cares really what specs the device has if the user experience is as good as you want it to be? Who cares how fast the processor is if the device is so fast that you can do anything with it? Who cares how many megapixels the camera has if the camera takes so good photos that you don't need a better camera? But the answer to that is actually no one should care about that. It's only geeks that cares about what specs the device has. For real usage, real content creation, productive use and so on, the user experience is so much more important than specs. And to be honest with you, I don't know how fast the processor is in my iPhone 6. I just know that it's the fastest phone I have ever used and I don't need more speed in a phone. One annoying bug in iOS 8 is on my iPad, and that is these multitask gestures that I use a lot always stop functioning after a restart of the iPad. So I have to deactivate it and activate it again to make it work. Really annoying. And the same thing with Spotlight search. I have to always go in here and activate Spotlight suggestions and Bing web search at the bottom every time I restart the iPad. Really annoying. I don't know why this bug exists at all, and I don't know why Apple doesn't fix it. It has been there since the first release of iOS 8, so it's time now, Apple, fix this bug. iCab Mobile is an excellent web browser for both the iPad and iPhone, but as you can see here on the battery usage page, it has used 12% of the battery life on my iPad and I haven't even used it today. That's terrible. So it drains the battery on my iPad even if I don't use the app. So this app I will remove. I will uninstall it from my iPad, definitely. I don't like apps that drains the battery even if I don't use it. And a web browser shouldn't drain the battery if you don't use it. So I just want to let you know a tip. Look at the battery usage on the iCab Mobile if you have it. It drains the battery a lot. I'm quite tired today, I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's Monday or something. Or maybe because it's October and October is quite boring and dark here in Sweden. Maybe that's why. But I will try to video edit this day vlog and upload it so you can watch it later today, this evening. I hope you like watching them because I love doing them. Okay, bye.